think I got any crazy comment. Did we get any? We did get. Remember, we got some comment on one of the videos. Did we address it though? On a different podcast episode.
One of them we did. The guy who was like,
yeah, that long one. Yeah. But the guy that emailed me, right? But,
yeah.
But there was. I mean, we had some romantic ones on the how guys can be romantic, and the biggest thing was just a bunch of whiny babies crying about, oh, it's not fair. Or I think the big thing I would say is that guys say to that, they're like, okay, well, as soon as you start showing your feelings to a woman, then she loses interest, right? So it's like as soon as you, so that was their experience, and that's why they're crying about the romantic thing. They're like, okay, you can't be romantic and.
But
yeah,
I would say, does she lose interest because you're not supporting her emotionally? So she's like, why do I need to support you emotionally?
Well, I think what I was saying.
Or you think from the very beginning, like the first time you do it?
Yeah. But the problem, what I was saying, I think I replied back to him too. I said that you're confusing showing your emotions with being needy, or or like basically with being needy. That's what it really came down to. It's like, there's a difference between showing your emotions or like, not having emotional control as a man.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
well, because if a man shows lack of control anywhere,
right,
then I feel like that seems kind of unstable for a woman.
Right. Exactly.
And as a woman, we are emotional. Right. So we often feel unstable. And plus we go through like a lot of fluctuation in our hormones during our cycle of like the month in general. And so if we feel unstable and we're trying to gain stability, and then we have this other unstable person, that just feels chaotic.
And I think that's what's happening a lot of times when guys have this perception that if they show a woman emotion or show that they care about a woman, let's say that a woman loses interest, because a lot of times that is true. But the reason why is, as you've seen me put into my YouTube videos, where you are that guy and you write that love letter, because you're trying to get something. You're needy. Yeah. It's desperate need. It's not controlled energy, right? It's not about you sharing your feelings. It's about the fact that you don't have control, like and you want something. Right?
Yeah. Well, I think it too, like the opposite of that would be when women maybe sleep with a man too soon, thinking, okay, I'll give him what he wants, right? He wants this, and then he loses interest in her. Right. That's like the female side, I feel like. Right. If a woman does that too quickly, then she's like, why doesn't he like me? I gave him what he wanted. Right. Yeah. And then men are the same way. They're like, why doesn't she like me? I told her how I feel. Isn't that what women want? And they do want that. But like you said, it's the control part. It's that there's a way to express your emotions in the correct way. I think that's probably the thing, because when you express your emotions, it is vulnerable and it feels unstable naturally. Right. But if you express them in like a chaotic and sort of maybe not needy, like you said, but I'm thinking of like, irrational or something that just feels like you don't know what this person's going to do. That's scary to a woman. Yeah. Like, is he complaining about this thing and he's going to complain about it for the rest of his life and not do anything about it? Right. Or is he like going to do something crazy because he's like having a midlife crisis or something? Like if she feels like she has no idea what this guy's going to do in regards to his feelings, rather than just like being vulnerable and expressing it and leaning on his woman, then that's when a woman's like, whoa, well, you're supposed to be the rock. You're supposed to be the man. You're supposed to be the logical one, which doesn't mean you don't have emotions. But if you can't stay like grounded and firm and in that.
But, and I think you hit on the main thing is like the right way to express your emotions, right? Because it's like what I was going to say, but now I'll still say that, but is that the neediness part comes from having an expectation, wanting something, right? So what guys experiences and what they're confusing is that if you share your emotions with a woman because you want her to like you back, if you're like, I love you so much, I'm so attracted to you, right? And you're like, I'm just being
Love bombing
vulnerable,
her.
right?
Yeah.
But you're trying to get something back. That's why you're doing it. If you can do that same thing, if you can express those ideas, how you feel about a person, but you're not trying to get that person to like you or to respond in a certain way to get their validation or approval, then it comes across as more in the romantic and it's not a problem. But I think what you said, actually, as I was thinking about that, even makes more sense, which is, I could tell you about my day, right? And I could be like, I got pissed off today. I was just like, this guy, we were supposed to do this deal and he just pissed me off, right? Like, I can tell you like that, or I can be like, oh, I'm just so pissed off. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, this guy, he's just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
so you're like a ticking time bomb in the second one.
Right. Both of them, I'm expressing the same emotion. I'm telling you about I'm sharing my feelings, right? But one of them, I'm doing it in the right way where I have mastery over the emotion.
Right.
The other way, it's controlling me. Right. And that's where.
And you're spewing it all over me.
Exactly. And so even when guys are expressing this in love, sometimes they're coming across as that one instead of the one like the romantic poet that is declaring his love as opposed to just spazzing out about, So I think it's the control of the emotions, not having emotions or not expressing them. Because a lot of guys are afraid. They're like, oh, as soon as you show a woman emotions, that's what they say what they want. But then she leaves, which has been their experience and which has proven to be true for them because they're not understanding so they're just playing it safe, right? They're like, okay, what I figured out is I don't show a woman emotions and then she doesn't freak out.
Yeah.
And it's working. And so they're like, and then they try it. They're like,
bottle up all their emotions and then they explode anyway.
And then what ends up happening, and they repeat it over and over, is they finally like say, okay, I feel close enough to this woman, I'm going to share my emotions with her, which they haven't learned how to do it correctly.
Right.
And then she does leave. And then she's like, oh, see, this is how it works. You just cannot have emotions as a man. You cannot share your emotions. Otherwise, this is what happens. And that's where they got to that point. But it's because they don't understand it. So
that's true.